I think we're going live.
Okay.
We're
Good.
on.
We're celebrating, Miss Russell. I used to know a line dance to this.
Celebrate good times. Come on. We are celebrating this morning, Cubs. Welcome back. Today is Monday, October 2nd, 2023, and we are celebrating a very successful walkathon. Lots of fun, lots of support raised for our school.
Great day.
Good morning, Mrs. Skelton.
Good morning, Mr. Hartman. Good morning, Mrs.
Good
Russell.
morning to all.
Good morning, Cubs.
Cubs, you did a great job at our walkathon on Friday. I hope you had fun. I hope you got a chance to say thank you to some parent volunteers who were out there because they made all that fun possible. And did you hear the grand total?
We were just shy of $26,000 when I checked. Did we
Yes,
overcome
almost.
that hump?
I haven't seen that update yet, but almost
We might have to go in and do
$26,000.
like,
Wow.
It's a
Cubs,
$10 donation. We
great
can do
job
it.
spreading the word. All,
Come on, Russell.
all that money goes right back to you, Cubs. The
Oh.
experiences you get at school, the things that we can buy for you here and provide for you here. We are so excited about that. Great job talking up
Yes.
our walkathon.
That is incredible. Almost 20, we're going to just call it 26.
Let's just call it that. Yep.
We'll take care of that
We're
after
going to
announcements,
call it
Mrs. Russell.
$26,000. That is incredible that we came together as a community near and far to raise all that money.
Absolutely.
Big
That
shout
is-
out to the folks at home who are
Wow.
watching. Thank you for your support, whether you donated or spread the word or both. We appreciate you.
Yes, absolutely. And Cubs, it was such a great day. Mr. Hartman and I were able to get out and just enjoy you guys doing the walkathon. You put on a great show of our Creekside Cub motto while we all enjoyed the walkathon. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. We've got another celebration today.
We do.
Do you want to introduce this awesome topic?
Yes, absolutely. So Cubs, last year, and actually I think every year,
Every year,
I've been
yeah.
here. So for our first and second graders, you will remember this happening. Teachers are able to recognize one Cub that they have in class or get to interact with a great deal as the Cub leader for the month. So we have our September Cub leaders that started the year off so well. So we have one from every classroom teacher, every specials teacher, every reading ESL teacher. Every teacher in this building was able to pick somebody. So we are so excited. We will announce the Cubs that won and the teacher that nominated them. And you guys get to have popsicles and extra recess with us. So we are really
that
excited about
incredible?
that. So teachers, we will put something in the heart when Mr. Hartman and I are able to align our calendars to be able to do that. But hopefully we
Sounds
can get
fun.
that taken care of this week. We're super excited.
Yes.
Do you want to kindergarten, Mrs. Russell?
I
And we'll
would
kind of go
love
down the
to.
line.
Okay, yes. Okay. From Mrs. Benjamin's room, we want to congratulate Crosby Beam. From Miss Fiore's room, Oliver May. From Miss Francise's room, Fiona Crouch. From Mrs. Lerman's room, Cora Eller. From Mrs. Montgomery's room, Elmer Fernandez. From Mrs. Churko's room, Sophia D. From Miss Chuck Barry's room, Samarth J. From Mrs. Stone's room, Claire L. From Mrs. Cunningham's room, Jocelyn Vick. And from Mrs. Nabb's room, Annie Davis.
Yay! I get to do first grade. Mrs. Reidinger, Ayan Bugel. Mrs. Todd's room, Aiden Capavilla. Mrs. Blackburn, Josie Meents. Mrs. Musser, Bennett Rodarte. Mrs. Winkle, Emery Scott. Mrs. Patterson, Barrett Rowan. Mr. Harold, Brendan Ball. Mrs. Sprague, Jackson Visnick. Miss Morris, Alexandria Peck. Mrs. Fisher's room, Quinn Whitehead. And Mrs. Stein, Eviana Evans. Thank you for my spelling, Miss Stein. That was lovely.
Ooh, I get to announce the second graders. From Mrs. Allen's room, Audrey W. From Mrs. Cavender's room, Nora M. Miss Waldfogel's room, Mackenzie Z. Miss Buffler's room, Braylon Z. Miss Wodes's room, Molly H. Miss Muller's room, Grace A. Miss Eggert's room, Caroline C. And Mrs. Kellerman's room, Hannah W. A couple more second grade rooms. Miss Wilson's room, Jordan S. And Miss Fetzer's room, Ayuth D.
Nice job. Would you like to do specials, Mrs.
Yes, I
Russell?
would. Mrs. Haynes would like to recognize Brooklyn Davis. Mrs. Seal, Norandra from Mrs. Wosis's room. Mr. Bodden would like to recognize Adeline Kirkendall. Mrs. DeBrunner, Claire Walton. Mr. Kellerman would like to recognize Larkin Cunningham from Mrs. Morris's room. and Mrs. Sambekos, Camden, Nolecki.
Excellent. So these are all our intervention teachers and extra teachers around the room. So you might have seen them testing students or around the building. Testing students, working with students. Mrs. Russell picked one. Mrs. A picked one. So get ready, guys. Mrs. Mino picks Kingston Franklin from Miss Fisher's room. Mrs. Kennedy, Thori Furukawa in Mrs. Patterson's room. Mrs. Reeve and Mrs. Tierney picked Bennett Averill in Mrs. Cavender's room and Odin Morris from Mrs. Buffler's room. Mrs. Averback, Jackson Lane in Miss Morris's class. Mrs. Russell picked Grayson Marsh from Miss Francise's room. Mrs. Adams picked Sammy Ali, also from Miss Francise's room. Mrs. Kraft picked Austin Thatcher from Mrs. Wodes's class. Mrs. Dyer, Bentley Schmidt from Mrs. Wadfogel's room. Mrs. Vonderhaar, David Velasquez Mendoza from Mrs. Allen's class. Mrs. Robinson picked Jansley Matez Perez from Miss Wilson's room, and Mrs. Harms picked Anya Castillo Molina. Congratulations, Cubs. And do you know what I noticed? Lots of second grade friends. I
Yes.
feel like our second grade friends are really modeling
Yes.
for our kindergarten and first grade Cubs for what it looks
Agreed.
like to be a Cub leader.
Showing that leadership.
Yes, teachers, look for that invite. We are so excited. The week is going to be gorgeous. So we are looking forward. I'm looking forward to having a popsicle and extra recess.
Absolutely,
Or
me
any
too.
recess. That sounds amazing.
Cubs, again, congratulations to all our Cub leaders for this month. And remember, we do this every month. So if your name wasn't called today, maybe next month or another month
Yeah.
later in the year. We have another celebration. We're just on a roll.
Woo!
I want to celebrate
little
one
tongue-tied.
more
Oh,
thing first,
yes.
if we can, please.
Oh!
Oh, not yet. Hold on just
Oh.
a second. I'm so sorry, Ms. Speaker.
It's okay.
We want to celebrate
We
today
look like
because
amateurs today.
it is National Custodians Day, and we have the best
Yes,
custodians
we do.
around. Miss Sheila is our head custodian. Mr. Eric, Miss Gina, Miss Leslie, who you see after school or toward the end of the school day and after school. We appreciate your team so much. We love you guys. Thanks for taking care of Creekside. Thanks for keeping everything ready for learning and safe in our building. We appreciate our custodial team. When you see them today, please make sure you say thank you and congratulations on National Custodians Day.
Yay!
We
Thank
so
you, guys.
appreciate them.
Birthday time?
Yes, I was waiting for my cue. Okay, birthdays. We had no birthdays for October 1st. So if you remember, we said on Friday we would wait and do October birthdays when October got here. There were none for yesterday. So starting fresh today, October 2nd, Brianna and Mrs. Wodes's room, happy birthday. Benjamin and Mrs. Cavender's room, happy birthday. Zayad and Miss Stein's room, happy birthday. Aaron and Miss Nab's room, happy birthday. And Willow and Miss Nab's room, happy birthday. So Miss Nab's class, you guys are ready to party today.
I think we've
Enjoy.
set a record for the number of student names read on announcements.
I feel a little tongue-tied at
Woo!
this point. So
We have
hopefully
something,
we got your name right.
something I am so excited about on Friday. Mrs. Russell, do you know
Mrs.
what it is?
Yes, our woot woot wagon, and I heard it's been found.
In the deep freezer.
In the
It was
deep
found.
freezer. I am so excited that it has been located. So we are so excited. On Friday, the wagon will be here. It'll be parked out front in front of the office. Your
Sweet little
teachers
pop-up shop.
have all of the directions and times to come. All I want you to worry about, Cubs, is continuing to collect that Cub
glad you're
cash
tongue-tied.
ooh, so that you can purchase items. And all through the week, starting tomorrow, we will feature some items on announcements to get you thinking about things.
Absolutely. We're
Yeah, we'll
excited.
talk more all week.
It's a fun day. The
It
Woot
sure
Woot
is.
Wagon.
Speaking of fun days and beautiful days outside, we have some lovely weather and we have a new graphic
Oh
for
my
you.
goodness, it looks different.
Look at this. Mrs. Russell, you think you can
Wow.
work with that?
I can work with this.
All right.
All right. Monday, today, we woke up and it was a chilly 56, but the high is going to 78 later on today. But you can see all week sunny skies, no rain expected. For today is what they're sharing, but who knows, that could change.
Look
But
how
a
she
very
just
sunny
grabbed
day.
that whole week and summed
She
it up.
did
That was,
a
that was
good job.
nicely
That's,
Very
done.
that's
succinct.
called professional weather
Well
reporter.
Thank you so
done.
much.
Think we're ready for our Creekside Cub motto and to start an awesome Monday. Ready?
He-
Sorry.
It's okay.
It is
Here-
Monday.
Here at Creekside, we take care of others, we take care of ourselves, and we take care of this place. Creekside Cubs Care.
Have a
Bye,
great day,
everybody.
Cubs.
Bye, Cubs.
Please stand for the pledge.